Hello, this is the Free Skate Mates. It's Lee here. You can't see my face, which is probably a good thing actually. The other two skate mates are upstairs, and as I say, you can't see me today. I think it's more important that you actually see my hands and what we're doing to the skate rather than my face. So I'm just going to slip around the front here, and today we're going to show you how to clean the bearings on a skate or on a set of skates. I've had a lot of requests from people, mainly in our club, who have said, how do you clean the bearings, because they've never cleaned a bearing out before, and some of them are in need of doing it. So this is what you do. Bit confusing here, we've got two types of wheel on. I've stuck the Reno Arrow on, because that's what most people have got on their skates. That's what these particular skates come with. Harry's obviously got some different wheels on here, which he likes. But for the sake of showing you how to do it, we'll keep to the Arrow, and then you can see exactly how to do it. So, these are the open type standard bearings that you get with Reno skates. And what you need to do is obviously first take the wheel off. You'll get that moving in the right direction. Take the wheel off like so. Side, and then you've got a bearing on that side and a bearing on that side. Just for the sake, that's got the shield on that side, that's the ball holder, and that side, well, I've reversed it round so you can see, but that's the open side. So the way to get them off is with this particular type of wheel. It doesn't work with these, unfortunately. Is insert it onto the axle just a little bit, just so that one of the bearings is inside, and then twist, and that drops off. And turn it over, and same on that side, like that. So there you go, that's got your bearings out. And you obviously need to do that on all of the wheels, because we're going to do them all at once. You clean all the bearings at once. So we'll put that to one side for the time being. And then what you want to do is get yourself a tub with a nice lid on it, preferably what seals. To keep the fumes down. We use petrol when we're cleaning our bearings. Some people use methylated spirits, some use isopropanol, all of which you can get off on eBay. But petrol is, I find, the best and the cheapest as well. I like cheap things. This is a good cheap way of cleaning them. Petrol is about the most effective thing to do it with, or the cheapest. So what you want to do is get some type of container. This is a Clip Safe or Clip Fresh from Tesco's, but like I say, if you've got something else that's just shallow, that's easy to get the bearings out of, then that's what you need. Put all your bearings in the bottom. You should have 16 if you're doing all of the skate. The whole set of skates in one go. Put them in. Just cover enough petrol over the bearings, just over the top there. Put your lid on, and we normally leave them anything from an hour to overnight, depending on how quickly you want to do them and how dirty they are as well. So leave them in there. When you've left them in overnight, you come back to them the next day. We usually use a pair of long nose pliers to get them out with, saves dipping your hands in the petrol and getting in a mess. And then what you need to do is get yourself an old methylated spirits bottle, and make yourself a cleaner. Bones do these. If you can't be bothered to make one, you can buy them. Bones, the bearing manufacturers, do a posher version of this. I think it's about 14, 15, something like that, £15. But you can quite easily make one. So old methylated spirits bottle, obviously with a hole big enough in the top there to fit your bearings through. And what we done is we drilled a hole through the cap, piece of 5mm threaded rod, and a nut on the top, a washer, and a piece of bicycle inner tube to make a seal, like a washer, rubber washer, and then just a nut on the inside to compress that together. The yellow bits on here are just spacers, and the idea of those spacers is when you thread on your bearing, you've obviously got a spacer in between, so bearing spacer all the way down, and then a nut on the end. So once you've got all your bearings on, you'll probably have to do it in 2 batches. Just put your bearings in there, screw the lid down, basically you put your cleaner in up to about there and give that a shake for a couple of minutes. Okay, real good shake. We go that way, that way, that way, all round, just so that you swill in all the cleaning solution all around the bearings. Take your top off, rotate your bearings just with your finger, just enough to loosen them up. If there's any pieces of grit in there, you'll normally hear it. Back in for another minute, give it a good old shake all the way around. Take your bearings off and put them on a piece of paper, and make sure you do the rest of them at once, so you've done all of one batch. And you can tip your cleaner out into there, your old cleaner, refill it with some new, back on with the bearings, and back in the solution again, and repeat the whole process again. So you're shaking, rotating, shaking, and then what you're going to do is, when they're all clean and on a piece of paper, is we have got a piece of tissue paper, or kitchen paper. We've got a nice double radiator with a flat top on, which makes a good drying place. But you basically want to dry them. We put ours on top of a warm radiator in the porchway, and we leave the door open, but don't do it in your house for obvious reasons, because petrol's not nice in the house. It lingers and it gets down your throat, and for obvious health and safety reasons, don't do it in the house. So choose somewhere nice, warm, dry. It doesn't have to be a radiator, but if you can do it on a radiator, it's quicker. That's the only reason. Line them all up on there, all the way along, on top of your radiator, about an hour, and they'll be dry. When they're dry, you'll know, because you can hear them. You won't be able to hear these, but they'll be nice and dry and free running, much more free running than these actually, because these are dirty still. And then what you want to do is, we use Singer sewing machine oil, but you can use this fancy Bone Speed cream. To be honest with you, we get on just fine with Singer sewing machine oil. So get your oil. What you want to do is the tiniest drop possible, so just touch the nozzle onto the bearing a little tiny bit. Too much is bad, because what actually happens is it all weeps out, it picks up the dirt, and it soils the bearing quicker. So you just need the tiniest little bit. Some people even keep them dry, but we just put a little bit of oil in, and then they'll run quieter and just a little bit slower. When I first done it, I thought I was running slow. Perhaps I shouldn't have put the oil in, but after the oil's settled and got itself all round, they speed up again. So once you've done them all, oiled them all up, bring back your skate. Get rid of that. And then what you want to do is put your bearing back in the wheel like that. These are really easy to get back in, like that. Push it right down, so it's nice and tight. With this particular type of wheel, you can't do it. You need one of these, which is a bearing press. And how that works is, I'll just show you in case you're interested. Is you put your wheel up, put your bearing on like that, and then your wheel goes on like that. Push that down, and then that pushes the bearing in. You don't need one of them for these wheels, so don't be alarmed. These are about 40 or 50 quid. But if you've got this particular type wheels, these are Tour Dynamic wheels, then you'll need one of these presses to push them in. But like I say, with this you don't. I'm just showing you in case you're interested. So once they're pushed in, make sure they're pushed in nice and tight. Back on the axle they go. We have done a video clip on how to take wheels off and how to tighten them up, but I'm going to show you so it's all in one place. Put your nut back on, like that. Tighten them down. I always tighten them reasonably tight to start with. That helps to push the bearings into the wheel as well. So don't obviously crank it up really tight, because you'll squash the bearing. You can see it's quite stiff like that, and that's set the bearing in quite nicely. If you leave them like that, your children won't thank you, because they'll make the skates slow. So what you need to do is back them off a bit, and then what you're looking for is some rock on the wheel and no end flow. So you don't want it to move up and down, but you want to get as much rock as you can. That's how we set our wheels. You might be different. That's how we set ours. So that makes the wheel screech a lot when you do a skid stop, but it don't allow the wheel or £16, and equally you can buy the bone speed cream. But by making your own, using your own dish and your own, getting some cheaper Singer oil for 250, you can do this job 50, 100 times in a year for the cost of a little bit of petrol, and of course the initial outlay of the oil, but really cheaply. Hope you found that useful. I'm going to disappear now and switch the camera off, and if you've got any requests for anything else that you'd like to see us do or demonstrate, please just let us know. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you soon.